My dear listener, imagine for a moment that your peace of mind is your most valuable possession. What would happen if I told you that the secret to unlocking the most magnetic version of yourself is not in doing more, but in doing less? Less reacting, less depending on the external world for validation, less being influenced by chaos. In a world constantly pulling at your emotions, your attention, and your energy, the ability to detach from distractions and remain unmoved is a power many do not possess. And let me tell you this, true attraction does not come from how much you give in, but from how much you maintain your peace in the face of storms. When you react to every situation, every comment, every challenge, your energy is scattered and your value becomes diluted. But when you stand firm with clarity and purpose, your inner peace becomes a force that draws others to you. People are naturally attracted to stability, to strength, to someone who knows where they're going and why they're going there. The question is, are you controlled by the world around you? Or are you the master of your response to it? In life, we often find ourselves reacting to everything that happens around us. Events, people's words, situations, and even our own emotions. It's like being in a constant state of survival mode, where every wave that crashes against us dictates our response. But imagine if instead of being tossed around by every storm that comes, we could step back, detach, and observe life from a place of peace. The ability to detach is not a sign of weakness, as many may believe. Rather, it is a demonstration of true power and control. It is the ability to protect your most precious asset, your peace of mind. In the Bible, we see many instances where God calls his people to remain calm in the midst of chaos. Jesus in the storm was asleep in the boat while the disciples panicked. The storm raged, the winds howled, yet Jesus remained undisturbed. Why? Because he was not moved by the external circumstances. He was anchored in something greater, his purpose and trust in God's sovereignty. This moment is not just a story of divine intervention, it's a lesson in detachment. The storm may come, but you don't have to be swept away by it. Consider a tree standing firm in a storm. The wind may blow fiercely, the branches may sway, but the roots remain grounded. The tree doesn't panic, doesn't try to flee, doesn't react. It simply stands its ground, rooted in the earth. It is from that position of stability that it can endure. Likewise, when we detach ourselves from being overly reactive to life's challenges, we strengthen our roots. We become unshaken, able to withstand life's turbulent moments without losing our peace or our direction. This principle of detachment isn't about detachment from life, emotions, or relationships. It's about choosing not to allow external circumstances to dictate how we feel, think, or act. Think about a man whose identity is rooted in external validation. He is constantly looking for praise from others, always reacting to opinions and comments. His life is dictated by the waves of other people's judgments. But when you detach, you break free from that cycle. You stop giving others the power to define your worth. Your value becomes rooted in something far more lasting. Your identity in God's eyes. Your purpose, your calling. A powerful example comes from the life of Joseph. In Genesis, we see him betrayed by his brothers, falsely accused by Potiphar's wife, and thrown into prison. Yet, through every trial, Joseph remained focused on the vision God had given him. He didn't react to the bitterness of betrayal or the false accusations. Instead, he chose to stay faithful, trusting that God was working behind the scenes. His detachment from the temporary circumstances allowed him to walk in the destiny God had prepared for him. His response wasn't determined by the actions of others, but by his own convictions and trust in God's plan. Think about your own life. How often do you find yourself reacting to situations in a way that robs you of your peace? How many times have you allowed someone's harsh words, an unexpected setback, or an unfortunate situation to dictate your mood, your thoughts, or your actions? What if instead you could step back, detach, and recognize that these things do not define who you are? Your peace does not have to be dependent on the storm. When you detach, you stop being at the mercy of life's winds and waves. You take back control. The power of detachment lies in the realization that life's circumstances do not have to govern your emotional state. It doesn't mean you don't care or you're indifferent to what happens. It simply means that no matter what happens around you, you remain grounded, centered, and at peace. As Paul wrote in Philippians, I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstances. That contentment didn't come from external situations changing. It came from a deep-rooted inner peace that no external factor could disturb. When you react to every situation, you lose control. You give away your peace and your power, surrendering your emotional stability to the moment. It's like being on a roller coaster, strapped in and unable to get off, as you are jerked around by every unexpected turn. Life becomes a series of unpredictable ups and downs, driven by how much you react to the people and events around you. But what if I told you that every time you react, you are giving away a part of your power? You are choosing to let the world dictate how you feel, how you think, and even how you behave. Take, for example, a situation where someone criticizes you harshly. The natural reaction might be to get defensive, to respond with anger or justification. But in that moment, when you react, you allow that person's words to shape your response and your emotions. Your peace is shattered and your focus is lost. Reacting doesn't give you control. It gives the other person or situation control over your emotional state. In the Bible, we are repeatedly encouraged to be slow to anger and slow to react. In James 1:19, it says, everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Why does God emphasize slowness in our reactions? Because when we act in haste, when we react impulsively, we forfeit the opportunity to choose a wise, thoughtful response. The moment we react is the moment we lose our ability to think clearly and respond with wisdom. Take a moment to think about how often your emotions have led you into situations you later regretted. How many times have you said things you didn't mean because you reacted in the heat of the moment? How many times have you allowed a sudden burst of anger or frustration to dictate your actions? The truth is, every time you react, you give away your strength. You become a prisoner to your emotions instead of being the master of them. Now let's look at a real-life example of someone who demonstrated incredible strength through non-reaction. The story of Nehemiah in the Old Testament. When he set out to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, he faced intense opposition. His enemies, Sanballat and Tobiah, mocked him, ridiculed his efforts, and even plotted to harm him. But Nehemiah didn't react to their insults. Instead, he responded with focus and purpose, saying, I am carrying on a great project and cannot go down. Nehemiah knew that reacting to his enemies would only derail him from his purpose. He chose to stay focused on what he was called to do. His non-reaction wasn't weakness, it was strength. He recognized that responding to every attack would only take him off course, so he kept his eyes on his mission. Consider this. When you stop reacting, you regain your power. You stop allowing your emotions to be controlled by others, and instead, you take control of how you respond to life. It's about knowing that your emotional state does not need to be dictated by external circumstances. You are not a victim of the situation. You are a victor because you choose how to respond. One of the greatest misconceptions in our society is that reacting shows strength. In reality, reacting impulsively shows a lack of self-control, a lack of discipline, and a lack of awareness. It's easy to lash out or retaliate when someone offends us, but it takes real strength to pause, reflect, and choose a response that is in alignment with your values and purpose. Consider a river flowing through a valley. The water moves around rocks, branches, and obstacles. It doesn't stop or try to fight the rocks. It simply finds a way to keep flowing. This is the power of non-reaction. It's not about denying or suppressing emotions, but about understanding that you are not bound by them. You don't need to react to every obstacle. You simply need to find a way to keep moving forward, undeterred by what stands in your path. The power of non-reaction is not in doing nothing. It's in being able to choose your response wisely, to remain grounded and anchored in your values and purpose, no matter the chaos around you. Just like Nehemiah, you can focus on the work that you are called to do and not be distracted by those who try to pull you off course. When you stop reacting, you regain the ability to create the life you want on your own terms. True attraction doesn't come from what you can do for others or how much you can prove your worth. It comes from something much deeper, a grounded sense of inner stability and strength that draws others to you without you even trying. The world is full of distractions and noise, yet in the midst of it all, the person who maintains their inner peace, who is unmoved by the chaos around them, becomes a magnet. This is the power of inner stability. When you are centered in who you are, when your identity and purpose are secure, your presence becomes magnetic. You don't need to chase validation because your peace and strength radiate from within. In the Bible, Jesus is often depicted as having a calm, unwavering demeanor, even in the most tumultuous circumstances. When the disciples were in a storm, terrified for their lives, Jesus was at peace, sleeping in the boat. His response was not reactive to the storm. He was grounded in something greater than the storm. He was anchored in his purpose and his trust in the Father's plan. His peace in that moment wasn't because there was no storm, but because he knew the storm did not define him. Jesus demonstrated that true attraction comes from a place of peace, not from reacting to external forces. We live in a world where many people are constantly seeking to be noticed, admired, or loved. They base their sense of worth on external validation, whether it's from social media likes, approval from others, or material success. Yet, no amount of external validation can replace the inner peace that comes from knowing who you are and being secure in that identity. Think about a powerful leader in any realm, whether it's business, politics, or even family. The most compelling leaders are not those who seek attention, but those who radiate confidence, clarity, and peace. Their stability becomes a pillar that others naturally gravitate toward. People are not drawn to chaos or instability. They are drawn to calmness, confidence, and consistency. When you are rooted in your purpose, when you understand that your value is not determined by the fleeting opinions of others, your presence becomes more attractive. Look at the story of David and Goliath. David, a young shepherd boy, was the least likely to face the giant warrior Goliath. The entire army of Israel was intimidated by Goliath's size and reputation, Yet David, with unwavering confidence in God's purpose for his life, walked onto the battlefield with calm assurance. His peace was not from his own strength or skills, but from his trust in God's power and his purpose. This inner stability made him not just victorious, but the center of attention, drawing others to follow him. His peace, grounded in faith, became the strength that others saw and were inspired by. This inner peace and stability come from knowing your purpose. When you are clear about why you are here, who you are, and what you are called to do, you become rooted in your identity. Nothing can shake you. The challenges of life may come, but they won't knock you down because you are secure in your purpose. The people around you will see this strength and they will be drawn to you because they too desire that stability. They want to be around someone who is unshaken, someone who knows where they are going and is not easily swayed by circumstance. But the key is to stop seeking external validation and start cultivating that internal peace. When you detach from the need for approval, when you stop reacting to every situation, you begin to experience a deeper level of peace. That peace becomes magnetic. People are attracted to that peace because deep down they desire it for themselves. Imagine a candle in a dark room. It doesn't need to shout to be seen. Its light simply attracts attention. Likewise, when you carry peace within you, you don't need to chase after others for recognition or validation. The world will naturally be drawn to your calm, your clarity, and your confidence. When you live with clarity of purpose, you become like a beacon in a world of confusion. People are naturally drawn to those who are certain about their direction, whose vision is clear and unshakable. It's a force that cannot be ignored. Think about a ship sailing through a foggy night. The one with a strong light or a clear lighthouse in the distance can navigate safely even when the world around it is unclear. But for the one without that light, the journey becomes dangerous and uncertain. When you are clear about your purpose, it's like having that guiding light that illuminates your path and draws others toward you. In the Bible, we see many individuals who were unwavering in their commitment to their purpose, regardless of the distractions around them. One of the clearest examples is the Apostle Paul. Paul had a mission that was deeply rooted in his purpose to spread the gospel and to teach others about Christ. No matter what obstacles he faced, whether imprisonment, persecution, or personal hardship, Paul remained focused on his calling. His clarity of purpose was evident in every part of his life, and it was this clarity that gave him the strength to endure the most difficult circumstances. When he was in prison, he wrote letters to encourage the churches, not out of desperation, but out of a clear understanding of his purpose. His vision was so powerful that it transcended his immediate circumstances and drew people toward him, even in the darkest moments. Purpose is the foundation upon which every meaningful life is built. Without it, we become like a ship adrift in the ocean, subject to the winds and waves of circumstance. When we are clear about why we are here and what we are meant to do, we stop reacting to every situation and start living intentionally. The power of clarity is that it gives you direction. It allows you to see opportunities where others see obstacles, and it enables you to keep moving forward even when life seems to be against you. Think about someone who is deeply passionate about a cause, whether it's social justice, entrepreneurship, or a family mission. Their clarity about what they want to achieve drives them forward. They don't need to constantly question if they are on the right path. They know they are. They are not easily distracted by the opinions of others or by setbacks. Their vision keeps them moving, and this focus becomes contagious. People see their clarity, and they are naturally drawn to support them or follow their example. Clarity of purpose doesn't mean that you have everything figured out or that life becomes easy. It means that no matter how difficult the journey, you have a vision that propels you forward. You no longer get lost in the small distractions or overwhelmed by the daily noise. Your purpose becomes the lens through which you view the world, and that focus makes you an attractive leader. It's not just about what you do, it's about why you do it. In the story of Nehemiah, when he was rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, he had a clear purpose: to restore his city and its people. Despite the opposition, ridicule, and threats from his enemies, Nehemiah didn't waver. He knew his purpose, and this clarity allowed him to push forward with confidence. When others tried to distract him, he responded, "I am carrying on a great project and cannot go down." His purpose was so clear that nothing could pull him off course. People respected his focus and clarity, and many joined him in the mission. When you live with purpose, your life becomes an invitation to others to find their own clarity. People are drawn to those who have a vision for their life because they themselves are searching for that same sense of direction. It's easy to get caught up in the noise of the world, to be swayed by trends or opinions. But when you are rooted in a deep sense of purpose, you become a source of stability and guidance for others. You show them that there is more to life than just reacting to circumstances. You demonstrate the power of living intentionally with a clear sense of direction. It's not just about having a purpose, it's about living out that purpose every day, despite the challenges that come. When you live with clarity, you become a beacon of light in the darkness, a lighthouse guiding others toward their own purpose. When you take control of how you respond to life, you begin to shape your reality. Your responses are the ultimate measure of your growth and strength. Life will always present challenges, but how you respond to those challenges determines whether you rise or fall. In every situation, you are faced with a choice to react or to respond with intention. It's in this very moment of choice that your power lies. If you allow life circumstances to dictate your emotional state, you are at the mercy of those circumstances. But if you choose to be the master of your responses, you take back your power, and in doing so, you unlock the strength to create the life you desire. In the Bible, the story of Job is a profound example of mastering your response to hardship. Job faced immense loss, his wealth, his health, and even his family. Yet despite his suffering, Job chose not to curse God. His response, though full of grief, was one of submission to a greater purpose. Job said, "The Lord gave, then the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." This is not a passive acceptance of his situation, but an active decision to trust in the sovereignty of God despite the pain. Job's response to his suffering set the stage for his restoration. And his story is a powerful reminder that how we respond in the midst of adversity shapes our future. Consider a simple analogy. When you're in a car, the steering wheel does not allow the car to go wherever it pleases. You, the driver, are in control of the direction, no matter what happens outside the car. If a bump or pothole comes up, the steering wheel adjusts to keep the car on track. The road may be rough, but the driver's steady hand on the wheel determines the journey. Your responses to life's challenges are like the steering wheel. You have the power to direct your course, even when obstacles appear. The question is, are you going to let the bumps and storms of life throw you off track? Or will you choose to respond with calm, clarity, and control? This principle of mastering your response is evident in the life of Jesus. When he was insulted, betrayed, and wrongfully accused, he didn't retaliate. He didn't react with anger or vengeance. Instead, he responded with love and purpose. In the face of Pilate's questioning, he said, "My kingdom is not of this world." Jesus was not concerned with defending himself. He was focused on fulfilling his purpose. His response to the situation was deliberate and rooted in his understanding of the greater plan that was at work. His control over his response ultimately led to the greatest victory the world has ever known. Mastering your response doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It means choosing not to be controlled by your feelings. Feelings are real, but they are not always reliable guides. In moments of anger, frustration, or confusion, we have a choice to step back, to pause, and to consider the greater purpose in our response. Will you allow temporary emotions to shape your decisions, or will you choose to respond in a way that aligns with your deeper values, your purpose, and your goals? One of the most powerful examples of this in modern life is seen in high-pressure careers such as sports or business. Consider a professional athlete who is under intense pressure to perform with millions of eyes watching. The temptation to react emotionally to a bad play, a missed opportunity, or criticism from fans is high. Yet, the athletes who are most successful are often those who can control their responses, those who can pause, breathe, and focus on the next play instead of dwelling on the past. They understand that their emotional state doesn't need to dictate their performance. In the same way, you have the opportunity to decide how you will respond to life's challenges. It's the response, not the event, that shapes your success. Mastering your response is also about recognizing that your peace and purpose are not contingent upon the circumstances around you. You become anchored in a truth that is greater than any external factor. You no longer react in ways that drain your energy or create unnecessary conflict. Instead, you respond in a way that strengthens you, that aligns you with your values and vision. This is the power of self-mastery, the ability to rise above the circumstances and choose the way forward, no matter what life throws at you. When you learn to master your response, you unlock a level of control that empowers every area of your life. You stop being a slave to your reactions and become the master of your destiny. You begin to create the life you want, not by controlling everything around you, but by mastering how you respond to what happens. As we conclude today, remember that true power lies not in controlling the world around you, but in mastering how you respond to it. When you learn to detach from the chaos, choose your responses wisely, and stay grounded in your purpose, you unlock a strength that is both unstoppable and magnetic. Your peace, rooted in clarity and stability, will not only transform your life, but will attract others to you, drawing them to the strength and calm you embody. May you continue to grow in wisdom, understanding, and self-control, making choices that reflect the greatness within you. Remember, the path to a purposeful, powerful life begins with mastering the art of your responses. Good luck as you take these principles and apply them in your life. Thank you for your time and attention today. May you walk forward in confidence and peace.